you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea. He deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge to the left brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello, and you're very welcome to Treaty Talk. We're here with episode number 293. Tom Clancy in the hot seat as ever, and joined once again this week by Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers. We're also joined from the front seat of his car, by the looks of it, by Leo O'Connor. Leo has the broadest smile of anyone, you think, on Shannon's side this week, because he has guided his Offaly under-20s to an All-Ireland title, the first time in their history that they've won that grade. After a couple of heartbreaks with that group, they've got it over the line. Leo, good afternoon to you. How's all with you?
Sure, as well as can be now, Tom. You know, it's I suppose it's been a fairy tale weekend for the lads, and you know, it's just one of the things that, you know, when you win All Ireland, you got to enjoy them, and that's really, really important. And you know, the lads, no doubt, they'll enjoy it. But it was spectacular. Everything, I suppose, the crowd, everything. Nearly 26,000 at an All-Ireland under-21 and an All-Ireland under-20 hurling final. It's you know, there's a few things that, you know, are very unique about it, and you know, the way the lads have handled themselves, you know, through good times, through bad times, and kept coming back, and eventually we got over the line.
Yeah, we'll talk to you plenty now about the Munster hurling final, which is obviously a big topic for ourselves here this week. But to look back on your success with this Offaly team and all that had gone with it, it is a special group. I suppose any All-Ireland winning team is probably a special group, but I think this one, everyone even outside of Offaly has known about them and known about their traits for the last couple of years. Obviously, I suppose pipped at the post 2 years ago, a lot of these guys in the minor final, probably I think even Adam Screeney touched on it, maybe outclassed last year and maybe outfought by a very strong Cork 20's team, but as a group they came back again, and were probably deserving winners on Saturday evening. Like, I mean, from pillar to post, really show what they were about, and didn't shirk the occasion with, you know, as you say, 20,000 odd people. So a fantastic group, and they've shown their worth to the public, to the national public, really, haven't they?
They have, in fairness, they've really battled hard, and I think you know, emphasised. I suppose we timed it right this year, which was the most important thing that I felt last year, and mine at minor level. You know, we particularly at minor level, we had to come through tier 2 to get to an All-Ireland final. So you had the round robin in tier 2, then go through the whole preliminary quarterfinal, semi-final, final, and that took an awful lot out of them at minor level. And then as well, at minor level, you have an All-Ireland semi-final that, like 2 years ago, we beat Clare. So, and then, you know, Tip coming down the line. It's not easy. There's, like, the amount of matches, I suppose, in 2022 was a telling factor in it. This year, obviously, we were seeded because we won Leinster Championship last year. We were in tier 1. And against Dublin and Galway, got over the line against Dublin in the first round above in Parnell Park, which was a good start, to be quite honest. And then we just, like as I said, against Galway, we were 5 points up against Galway, and drew that evening against Galway. It's just one of those things where I suppose it had been a fairly hectic time and schedule for the lads, because 5 or 6 of them had been playing senior that week, playing Wednesday, going from Saturday, Sunday to Wednesday to Saturday, Sunday. And I mean, like, the workload and the likes of Dan Burke, Cahill King, and these guys are centre forward, midfield, and you know, Donald Shirley at wing back. There was a lot involved in it, and we were happy enough coming out of. I'll be honest with you, coming out of the group, even though Galway came out and scoring difference against us. I suppose it really set us up, because we had a quarter final against Laois, and like, we were fairly convincing winners that night. And I suppose we timed the run properly to get, you know, Kilkenny. We knew we'd home advantage against Kilkenny over in O'Connor Park before if we got the result against Laois. And like we have, when you're playing the Kilkennys of this world, you have to get every advantage going your way, and that's what we did. We took advantage of it, and got over the line against Kilkenny. In my opinion, a very, very strong Kilkenny team. And I mentioned it a couple of times. I suppose that was really it was the major telling factor this year, from the fact that at minor level and even at under 20 level last year, we hadn't come up against Kilkenny, and we hadn't got the win against them over the 3 years minor. The ironic thing about this is the team, last year's 20 team that got to the All-Ireland final, had played Kilkenny the Leinster final. Obviously, Kilkenny had beat them at minor level. This year's team played Kilkenny in a semi-final below Nolan Park, and Kilkenny had beaten us, right? So from our point of view, I knew coming away that night below in Nolan Park in 2021, really, at the end, we were just beginning to come out of COVID. And it was one of those occasions where there was, you could see the signs. Me personally, I could see a lot of signs where fellas were really beginning to develop, and there were dead personalities as hurlers, is the word I would use, where fellas started getting confidence and beginning to believe in themselves that they could play against the bigger teams. And like as we said last year, it took us to an All-Ireland final, but yet we still didn't play Kilkenny. So my point being that we played Kilkenny this year, getting that confidence of beating Kilkenny was huge, and then going into Leinster final against Dublin, a team that we'd already played, and I think the day we played them above in Parnell Park, the ground was fairly heavy going. It was like kind of literally still wintry conditions, and I knew that we were a lighter team, a little bit lighter than Dublin, but I knew that our hurling would get us over the line against Dublin, which it did, and it led us into where we were last Saturday night. I saw a good few of the Munster Championship matches this year on 20 level, and I think there was nothing between any of the teams, to be quite honest. It was just the teams that took their scores on the night. I thought the night Tip played Limerick, I thought Tip got particularly lucky at various stages during that game that night. They got one or two lucky breaks, and they got themselves into a situation where they really pushed on that night and closed out Limerick fairly well. And saw them last Wednesday or last Friday week against Cork in the Munster Final, which they were very, very competitive. And they got the look of the draw that night, and they worked hard and turned over, in my opinion, a good Cork team as well. So there's nothing between any of the teams that that contested at the decision end of it, I suppose. When there was cups being given out, and I just thought that I think on Saturday night it was probably our best performance of the year. We had a very, very physical battle against Kilkenny, but it was a good hurling game. But like the All-Ireland final, Munster hurling is I won't say way different, but it's a lot different to Munster hurling, in that the pace of Munster hurling seems to be a little bit quicker. Leinster hurling is that little bit more physical, but certainly one that I think that Saturday night Tipperary suited us, in that we had the speed, we had the agility, and we moved the ball fairly fast and worked the ball through the lines at various stages. And when we needed, we went long, and that's what got us over the line ultimately.
Yeah, Matt, I'll bring you in there now.
First of all, heartiest congratulations, Leo. Absolutely delighted for you. Absolutely delighted for you. Listening to your interview after the game, I was struck by a couple of things. I was struck in that great moment with your reference, first of all, to your parents, and secondly, your reference that you had created the family type mentality in the group.
Yeah, I just think, look, Matt, like my father has passed away, nearly 6 years now at this stage, and my mother has passed away 3 years. It was a hard thing to take, Matt, at various stages over that period, when that's such an influence in my life, to be quite honest. And we're not a big family. I have only one sister. My sister lives in Roscommon, so from that point of view, down here, as I said, working in Clare, living in Tipperary, and being a Limerick man, it's one of those situations where it's very unique, but one of those situations where the people of Offaly have adopted me, I suppose, really, to be quite honest. And I still have a lot of friends in Limerick, and I'll always be a Limerick man no matter what, and I emphasised that the other night as well. But the most important thing for me, Matt, is that everyone's human. there's a lot of things goes on in people's lives, but you know, the influence of my parents, and I refer back to it, in my life has been immense. And there's like, my father was well known in GAA referee 3 All-Irelands. And look, it's just, I suppose, even the other night during the national anthem, Matt, just when you think back on the years when I was at home watching my father on television, and you bring a lump to your throat, Matt, to be quite honest, because it shows the humanity side of it. And I think it's very unique to the GAA. All those traditions that happen in GAA are very, very unique, you know. I still have 2 aunts living in Limerick out in Coona, and like I have a lot of cousins around Limerick. But so, like it's very surreal, Matt. For me, it was last week, and it just, you know, it brought home a lot of things to me, to be quite honest. And you know, the reception that the lads got, and the reception, I'll be honest with you, Matt, I've got as big a reception in Limerick, you know, from a lot of friends in Limerick as I have above in Offaly, and that's the most important thing for me. And like as you mentioned, like that family mentality that we have within the Offaly camp. There's a lot of lads there that work really, really hard. Some of them from an agricultural background. You know, they're young lads starting out in life, and like we try to guide them as best we can, and that's the most important thing. And like there are disappointments along the way for them when they don't make the 24, when they don't make, you know, when you're dropping lads off a band. It's not easy. It's not easy as a manager, but it's the human side of things. But it just shows, I suppose, their willingness and their wanting to be there. I've had guys over the last number of years that really, really wanted to be part of an Offaly setup, and unfortunately they didn't make it. But there's 1 or 2 of them at minor level didn't make it, and they made it the other night. Barry Egan, like, got 2 points. We'll argue about the goal, the first goal, but like he's putting it down for 1-2. But like at the end of the day, the ball crossed the line, and we don't care who hit it over the line. But no, it's just one of those things, Matt. You know, there's a guy that didn't make it at minor level on that team. And certainly the other night, last year, the combined schools, he was playing wing back against St. Kieran's College and really developed over the last 2 years. And like, I can't speak highly enough of those guys. They put their head down, they worked hard, and they turned themselves into inter-county hurlers with All-Ireland medals now. Like I said this, my parting call to the boys on Friday night, on Thursday night, Matt, when we were finishing training on Thursday night. There isn't too many people above in Offaly with 3 Leinster Championship medals and now with an All-Ireland medal. You know, so, and 3 in a row, 1 at minor and 2 at under 20. So they've achieved a lot, Matt. And that's the most thing, and that's the humbleness, I suppose, of it, Matt, and that family mentality. There are not too many hurling clubs up there, and they all know each other, and they've been together so long now. They're like a family, and they're all best friends, and the laughing and joking that you have with them is just unbelievable. And it's just shows, for me, I suppose it's the GAA mentality, you know, that close-knit, that bond that develops between players. I've experienced it with a lot of my own former colleagues that I heard with Limerick. Like, I met Mark Foley Saturday morning. Like, you just, we know, when all we need to do is we look at each other and we know that there's a bond there, that we hurl together, we battle together. And like, we played against each other at club levels. Like, anytime I meet Davy Clark, Mike Houlihan, you name them, Gary, like, it's just, it is what it is. You know, even last week, Mike Galligan phoned me. You know, we might be in contact with each other every day of the week, but certainly when we meet each other. And I suppose that's what I would term the family side of things within the GAA. And I've no doubt that the Limerick boys that are playing on Sunday, they have that in abundance over the last number of years. And they'll be able to go, and they mightn't realise it now, Matt, but it's when you get to our age and you get into your 50s that you realise it. And I told the boys this above an Offaly, that they'll be able to look back and say that they achieved something. Our 84 team at a 40-year reunion today, the Limerick led Waterford. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to it. I got to it late. Majority of them were gone. But like, in terms of that, like, I spoke this about Anthony Reardon when we were selected with Limerick intermediate team. Like, there's something there that will never be broken, and that's the respect we have for each other. And that's what I've tried to bring to Offaly as well, Matt.
Yeah. Just the last time you were in with us in the podcast, I asked you a question about Adam Screeney. I asked you to talk to us about Adam Screeney. I've since had the pleasure to meet him.
I think we both have, Matt. We both have, yeah.
And you know, what we know about what a wonderful hurler he is, but what a wonderful rounded individual he is.
Matt, on Friday night, the lads had did a darts competition above in Faithful Fields. There was 2 dartboards. right? And they ran a darts competition just to calm the nerves, just to get them together. And they brought them together from 7 o'clock to 10, right? Screeny was like a dog leaving it on Friday night because he didn't win it. So,
competitive man.
a competitive man, but I tell you this, what a very grounded, level-headed guy. But it's not just Adam. Dan Burke, the captain. Dan Burke is a leader on the field. You know, Adam has the character, has the charisma off the field, and is very much a leader on the field. Like everyone knows that. But Dan Burke is the silent type. Dan Burke just goes out and does it, and they look up to him, and he mightn't realise it, but they all look up to him, you know, and the respect that they have for each other, which, and I'm saying that's part of the family atmosphere. That's one of the things. Adam is unique. I mean, like I saw, like you, I think one or two you were there the night of the All-Ireland Freshers final. You know, when you need Adam most, that's when Adam turns up. You know, he's free taking, his ability to get you a score at a crucial time, take the pressure off you, like it's immense, it's huge, you know. And like even after the match on Saturday night, we were just outside Nolan Park. I'll tell you a funny story about it, Matt. We were outside Nolan Park, and there was I was just talking to Adam, and I said, "So what way are you?" And he goes, "I'm grand, I'm fine." And I said, "Grand." And there was an ice cream vendor, and two of us had 2 cones. And we were just like 2 children sitting on the wall, and we just talking away, hurling about.
What time is this?
Like it's just one of the, and I said, Jesus, Adam, I said, this is absolutely so nice to taste. And he goes, it's cooling me down, Leo. You know, James Mahan was there. Like there are things that, you know, they don't realise, but they will enjoy them for years to come.
Yeah, superb. Yeah, you actually, if you recall, last summer, Leo, you put me in touch of doing a gig in Ballybrown, and
Yeah.
you said I have one for you. Ring this fella, he'll come down. I think I rang Adam, and I'd say within 15 seconds he'd agreed to come down to Ballybrown to like, and he didn't know who I was. I barely even said my name. He said, "Oh yeah, no bother. What day is that on? Thursday. Oh, grand, I'll be down."
Yeah,
you know, and that's probably goes back to your GAA family thing. Okay, I didn't know him. I didn't know him from Adam. Pardon the pun, but he you know, he was willing to come, and he was a pleasure on the night. He drove Johnny Pilkington.
It was a presentation to under-16s in Doon, and I mistook him before I was introduced to him. I mistook him for one of the under-16s.
Well, Matt, that now would not surprise.
I think Leo's just falling away there, but yeah, I remember you said that, Matt, at the time. He passed for an under-16 when he was he's under 18, I suppose, this year, under 19 now. So
this was on earlier this year, back in March, a couple of months ago. I just said that I missed. I just said, Leo, there that I mistook him to be an under-16.
That's right, Matty. He's just even like I saw it the other night, you know, when he's coming off the field, and I know he's fairly recognisable character now, but there was a lot of young lads, and they'll be looking, you know, and they'll be like 12, 13 years of age, because Adam's not the biggest guy in the world, but they're looking as if is that really him? It is funny, you know, and like, you know, you just see it, and he's just such a level-headed guy, Matt. I'll be honest with you, I have a very unique relationship with Adam. Adam could ring you 2 or 3 times one day, and you might hear from him for the next 4 or 5 days. Next thing, he's back on the phone again 2 or 3 days. He's always bouncing stuff off people, Matt, and he's out to learn, and he takes everything on board, Matt, and even he's free taking. He works really, really hard in it. He's living about 2.5, 3 minutes from the Faithful Fields above, and he's always doing something, and he's just one of those unique guys, you know, and in fairness, they belong to a lovely family. His mother Jackie, his father Keith. His father Keith is a county board and Oak chairman in Offaly. So from that point of view, you know, Jack is on the Offaly senior hurling panel, and he's a younger brother coming through now, Aaron, who's only 15, just under 15 this year. He's a very unique guy as well, very similar style hurler to Adam. Hurls right over left, though. I keep telling Adam that Aaron is going to be a better hurler than him because he's natural hands. But no, it's just like he's playing under 15 with Offaly this year, Aaron Screen. So, you know, they're steeped in the GAA and steeped in the traditions of what they do.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, Leo, we'd love to talk all day about Offaly, but I suppose we must remind ourselves we're on the Treaty Talk podcast. So we're going to flip now towards the 6 in a row bid, as it is in Munster this weekend. And come to you first, Leo. It's a big weekend for Limerick. Okay, so yeah, Leo, 6 in a row for Limerick in Munster. Geez, we were happy enough to win one back in 2013, but to be looking for 6 in a row, this is mad stuff. But it's the old rivals Clare who have, it's fair to say, been knocking on Limerick's door now for the last couple of years. Are we expecting a classic in Thurles?
I think it's going to be one for the ages. I think on Sunday, I just think that this Clare team have really something to prove on Sunday. And I think the Limerick team are beginning to come into form. I think that the round robin situation is out of the way, qualifying for another Munster final. And as John Kiley refers to it, Declan Hannon refers to it, they want to win everything. And I just think that Limerick are really, really coming into, they're getting hit in form at the right time. I think that 30 points, hitting that 30-point mark again against Waterford the last day is really huge, and that's immense for this team, and it gives them confidence. There's still a few guys that really have to push on this year, I think. The one thing that I would be a small bit worried about is the loss of Peter Casey, and I'm being very, very straight about it. Peter Casey is a huge loss to that Limerick team. He always seemed to turn up and get the scores at the right time. But like the most noticeable thing for me this year, I suppose, really is one, the emergence of Cathal O'Neill as a really top class hurler. He's come into his own, and he's taken responsibility. He's taken the mantle off of other players around him. The other person, I suppose, really is Adam English. I think his introduction in every game has been hugely important. He's constantly getting on the scoreboard, and he's working his way into positions. And he's like Peter Casey, I think, in that he's developing and always seems to be in the right place at the right time. And I suppose really the match below Cork, I was really delighted for Aidan O'Connor. I know we didn't get over the line that night, but that was a classic. And I think that Limerick, in fairness to him, bringing on Aidan that night, it was a bold decision. Came on and got an absolutely great score, which we thought was going to get us over the line. And suddenly Cork came back the other end and got the penalty, and the ball ended up in the back of the net. They're things that Aidan will learn from, and I just think that as players, they're all going. Those three players that I've mentioned, they're all going to develop and really push on, and I think that could be the extra bit of energy that Limerick need this year to get over the line, and hopefully on Sunday we do that.
Yeah, where do you think, just to mention Cathal O'Neill there, where do you think his best position is? Because we've seen him at 6, at 7, in midfield, in the forwards, that roaming role. I know hurling isn't as rigid as probably it once was, but where do you think he's best suited at the moment anyway?
I probably think at the moment with this Limerick team, he's probably best suited as, I suppose, an 8 or a 9 out in the middle of the field. His work rate is superb. The ground he covers, the amount of ball he gets on. If Limerick were at full strength, right, I would love to see Cathal O'Neill at wing forward. I just think that that ability to come up and down that side of a field or whatever, whether you play him right or left half forward, I think would be immense. And I think that it would really make an awful difference to Limerick that if you did have Cathal O'Neill at wing forward. And as I said, with Peter Casey inside the full forward line, the Aaron Gallans, Cian is particularly, I think, I was delighted to see Cian. A lot of people have been critical of him this year, I think, and overreacting. But I certainly think when Limerick needs Cian always turns up, and I think one of the occasions that we're going to need a lot out of him is Sunday against a very strong Clare, very formidable backline, and I think Cian is the one with pace that when he's running at you, he will open you up. Cian always knows the right time to lay off the ball, and I just think his work rate is immense. So, there's a lot of factors that I would look at from Limerick that Limerick are definitely improving. And as I said, I think when we get to Croke Park, we're a different proposition altogether. Yeah,
Matt, your thoughts heading into this on Sunday?
I agree with Leo insofar as, and I think John Kiley referenced it after the win over Waterford, that in terms of coming near our peak, that Limerick are probably nearer to their peak at this time this year than they were last year. And I would just love to know if Darragh O'Donovan is fit. What will be the ramifications of it for, we'll say, the selection of the team? I agree with Leo. I think that Carl O'Neill is ideally suited to the midfield role. But then again, Dara Donovan is essentially an out-and-out midfielder. And
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Matt. But I just think that when we do have all these players together, I think we're going to be, I'll be honest with you, I think Limerick will be fairly untouchable. Like if we had a full strength team, but we don't. And it's just it's a testament to the panel that you're able to do this. You're like, we've played a round robin without Dara Donovan. Like hopefully Dara will get some game time on Sunday, because I know he's been back for the last month and pushing hard, and no better boy than Dara Donovan to push hard, because he's will to win, and to achieve the impossible dream, I think is really important for him.
Yeah.
Another player, of course, and we haven't mentioned him yet, despite his fantastic cameo against Waterford, is Shane O'Brien. And like another player who literally lit up the league as far as Limerick were concerned is Donegal O'Daly.
Yeah, he did. Like Donegal had a really very good league, and the experience that he'll gain over that league, Matt, I think, and the confidence that he's gained has been really important. His form has kind of dipped in a way, I'd say, in championship, but that's the competitive nature of the panel, I think, as well. John gave him every opportunity, and I think, when they brought him on earlier in the championship against Tip, I think Donegal came on, had an impact against Tip. I think when he came on against Cork, it was probably really too late in the game. And the game, it's very hard when a 3 or 4 minute cameo appearance that the game will drift by you. You know what I mean? It's really important that you get your first touch and you get into your hand. And there are things, Matt, that he learned over the years, when he gets more experience, that you really have to get in and get involved straight away. You have to go chase that ball when you come on as a sub. And in terms of that, I think that's one of the things that will stand to him. Without shadow of a doubt, Matt, you're mentioning players everything has improved, Limerick. And that's the most pleasing thing. And that's where I think the importance of the experience of Dara Donovan, getting Dara back to the middle of the field, and it'll ease the pressure, in my opinion, on the loss of Peter Casey, that if you were able to push Cathal O'Neill back up into a forward position, or else drop him back to the half-back line, where he played particularly well in the National Hurling League, when he was centre-back, when he went back at 6. He went back as a 6 against Cork when Declan went off the field. So, John has loads of options. It's every manager's dream to have those options, but it's a matter, as we keep saying, it's a matter of getting the right 15 on the field for Limerick, the fittest 15 on the field for Limerick, and then what we term now, I suppose, the word finishers, that we have the impact off the bench, and like the likes of Adam, the likes of Donegal O'Daly, the likes of Aidan O'Connor. These are all guys, they're all young, they're all 22 years of age, 21, 22 years of age, which I feel is vitally important.
Yeah,
and we'll say what's the news on Seamus Flanagan for Sunday? If Seamus is available after his performance against Cork, he can hardly be overlooked. And certainly when he went off against Waterford, I would have anticipated. My immediate gut reaction was that Donegal O'Daly was going to be the man to come on. I was surprised to see, Shane O'Brien coming on, but absolutely delighted with the performance of Shane O'Brien, which to me was nothing strange, because we've been talking about that for a number of years. This guy, he's the makings of an out-and-out top-class inter-county senior hurler. So, you're right, Leo. If anything, we've been speaking there for the last 5 or 6 years about the Limerick bench and the impact of the Limerick bench. I'm absolutely convinced that this is the strongest Limerick bench we probably ever have had. That it is, for the reasons that you said, it has got stronger, much, much stronger.
Yeah, it has, Matt, and it's taken on a life of its own, and I suppose that's really the important part, is that John has been able to introduce 2 or 3 players every year. No doubt Shane O'Brien had a huge impact when he came on against Waterford, and it was really, really good. I suppose in terms of your championship day, was the dream championship day, but to come on and score 3 points, and bang him over the bar, whether it was off the left hand side or the right hand side. But the most important thing for me was that he was working his way into these positions. He was working his way, making the ball being laid off to him. I mean, like Garrod gave him an unbelievable ball, to get him off the mark and stuff like that. So that, you can't buy that.
And
but
he returned the compliment later.
Yeah, he did, yeah. But you can't buy the experience of seeing Garrod, known having been there himself and seen the pressures of coming on the championship match like that, making your debut, and Garrod really, you know, getting him on ball, and that to me is a testament to the squad, a testament to the players' mentality. You know, that everyone buys in, and you know they keep saying it, like there's no. They just are a close knit family, and they work for themselves, and their work rate is absolutely immense, Matt. To be quite honest.
Do you think Shane O'Brien will get the nod after that exploit, or you know, I know the fitness will depend on if maybe.
It will depend on the fitness of Seamus Flanagan anyway, for starters. You know.
Yeah.
Did he do enough? Maybe did he do enough the last day?
Like Munster final, like you all know, lads. Munster finals take on a life of themselves. You know, the first 10 minutes in the Munster final, there isn't too many ball players around the place. Me personally, I would probably hold Shane till 15-20 minutes to go. When you're doing that, do need that injection. Like I'm sure that Tony Kelly will be coming on for Clare, and they'll be looking for that injection as well. But like both scenarios, when I'm saying Shane O'Brien and Tony Kelly, when you look at it, one is starting off his career and one is coming, I won't say to the end of his career, because the guy is extremely fit and he suffered a lot of injuries, Tony Kelly. But that's the experience that I think, that energy that Limerick will be able to bring off the bench. And as we mentioned, with Adam as well, I think that's been absolutely immense. Adam English below Ennis had a huge impact on the game that day when he came on as well. So from Limerick's point of view, you know, I think we have a very strong bench. We referred to it already. But it's just one of those situations where you really have to take your look as well. And look has an awful lot got to do with it. I mean, like, there's chances that both teams they'll both have analysed the game, Limerick and Clare, to death. You know, and worked their faults and failings and putting their wrongs right. That's the most important thing, I think. And the learnings that both teams will have taken over the round robin championship period, that's really important. And look, hopefully Limerick go directly to an All-Ireland semi-final.
What do you think Clare can afford to lose to Limerick a third time in a Munster final? I mean, mentally as much as anything, and I'm not trying to discount their chances beyond Sunday, regardless of the result. But you know, losing 3 finals in a row, I know you were over a team that was trying to kind of right that wrong in terms of avoiding 3 in a row. It's not an easy thing to pick yourself up off the canvas from. It's fair to say.
Oh, listen, without shadow of a doubt, it's not. And I just think that, like, there's also the possibility, Tom, like that Limerick and Clare could meet each other 3 times in 1 year, not to mind 3 months of finals in a row. So, like, there's an awful lot of equations to be later on down the line. But as I said, Limerick are working their way to Croke Park. And over the last number of years, we know when we get to Croke Park, we're a very formidable opposition to anyone. And we seem to gain energy the minute we reach that corner of Jones's Road. When that team heads down it, they just take on a life for themselves, and they go out and express themselves in the biggest stage just possible in the GAA in Ireland.
From a Limerick point of view, Tom, you know, we've already beaten Clare. It's very, very difficult to beat, especially when there's so little between them. Very, very difficult to pull it off twice in the one competition. Clare failed to do it last year. They beat us in the round robin stage, and we reversed it in the final. That would be a small worry from my point of view. But overall, I still believe that Limerick will have enough. But it will come down to how the Clare forwards, you know, show up on the day. Like, because you have Rodgers and Duggan in the half forward line, and not to mention Shane O'Donnell inside and Aidan McCarthy. Like, we spoke about the Limerick bench. Equally, Clare have a very, very strong bench. Very, very, very strong, and an awful lot of good players to call in. So since last year, their bench has definitely strengthened as well. But I honestly think that it probably will be decided in how the Clare forwards, what progress they make against the Limerick defence, particularly the half forward line. Because they're coming up against, and they know them full well, and they know them very well. They have come up against what, without question, over the last 6 or 7 years is the best half-back line in the country. I don't think anybody could argue with that. Dermot Burns, Declan Hannon, Kyle Hayes, you know, absolutely outstanding. Kyle Hayes is in the form of his life, as is Garrod Hegarty, and judging by the game against Waterford nearly 2 weeks ago now, Barry Nash is hitting towards top form as well. He was absolutely excellent against Waterford. So I think a lot of it will come down as to what progress, if any, we'll be hoping from a Limerick point of view, very little, that the like of Rogers, Duggan and O'Donnell will make against the Limerick defence.
Yeah, no, I think we must respect Clare for what they've done against Limerick in the last 3 years. Even you mentioned that Limerick flipped the tables on them last year in terms of they won in the Gaelic rounds in the group, and then Limerick won the final. Even the previous year, Limerick ended up winning the final after extra time, but Clare had drawn. Well, he had drawn a little bit of a dead rubber, in fairness, the way it worked out. But Limerick and Clare had drawn in Ennis, so like it's paper thin margins between these two teams. But Limerick have found a way, and as they have invariably done over the last 6-7 years, they have found a way in the majority of the tight games to get their nose in front when that whistle is blown.
Yeah, you must remember that Limerick got through to the Munster Final last year with a score difference of, was it +2 or 3?
Yeah, +3, I think it was. Yeah, wasn't it 2 points from one game and 1 point from
incredible.
another?
Like, it's just one puck of a ball,
Yeah. Yeah, there was 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. The last by a point. The drew.
But it does is it bears out the point that you're making, Tom. That they know how to win close games.
Yeah, that's it. I think the tickets anyway have been distributed. The terraces are long gone anyway. I think the clubs, I'm sure, around Limerick and Clare have scratching their heads trying to dish them out. I'd say if there was 50 or 60,000 capacity, I'd say it would sell out. I mean, it's the Munster Council must be licking their lips, Matt, at this rivalry, because year on year now it's delivering full houses, it's delivering great games, it's delivering, I suppose, the sights of the summer, really, isn't it? And
absolutely, like the round robin in Munster is a competition that does not stop giving. It's like if you take the last day drama last year alone, when Limerick could have been, they were in the Munster Final, they were out of the Munster Final, and for the finish, they found it hard to believe they were in the Munster Final.
Yes,
like the situation that you had this year, had Limerick and Waterford drawn, Cork were gone. Had Waterford won, Limerick were gone. It never stops giving for excitement and drama, and let's hope that will be a continuation of it on Sunday. And I know it will not be discussed, or very, very little, or even mentioned, I'd imagine, even in the Limerick camp, but the challenge of completing 6 in a row and a place in immortality, must be a huge driving factor.
Oh, it must be, yeah. No, it's, as you say, it won't be mentioned at all. But if Limerick weren't going so well in terms of All-Ireland titles, I think there will be a lot more made of their Munster exploits. But I mean, I suppose the All-Ireland, the 5 in a row in the All-Ireland is always in the background now, so this 6 in a row kind of is ignored. But it would be phenomenal. And Limerick's record in finals, Matt, as we know, under John Gaelic and co, is, well, it's
100%
exemplary, which is a phenomenal record in itself. Given that it hasn't always been, against one team, it has been against, you name it, they have played them in finals effectively. Waterford, a couple against Clare, Kilkenny, Galway, everyone.
We beat Galway in a final, we beat Waterford in the final, and we beat Cork in the final, and the naysayers were going around, no, you didn't beat anyone yet. Now we've beaten Kilkenny twice. So
we've beaten Tipperary in 2's Munster finals as well, I think. So
they're out of ammunition now.
Yes, indeed, yeah. So can Limerick make it 6 in a row? Well, me and Matt seem to think so. I think Leo is probably leaning that way too. I think he's had to get on the road there, so we must thank him for his contribution to our podcast. But wherever you are on Sunday, do let us know. And if you're in Thurles, lucky enough to be among the crowd, well, I hope you enjoy the game with myself and Matt. I believe we'll be making the trip to Tip, and hopefully we'll be smiling.
I actually won't be making the trip.
Oh, you're not?
Tip. I am actually not, because I'm engaged. Right. I'm engaged at work at counting votes.
Oh, yes.
I'm reporting on the local elections.
Yeah.
To see what representatives we'll send into Tormintue and the county council for the next 5 years.
We shall see. Yeah, well, when I saw that count was on the
seriously, I've been asked by my bosses. Now, will I cover? I have a bit of experience of local politics. So
yes, a small bit. So, well, you'll be keeping an eye or an ear out anyway. One of them at least for.
I'll be watching the game wherever I find it.
Yeah, very good. Yes, indeed. Well, we'll look forward to that Sunday. But we must get through other matters across Gaelic games in Limerick. And we'll look back now on Gaelic football. And we'll start with Limerick's trip to Dublin to place London. Matt, I think John Keogh pointed out to me subsequent to the game that you were kind of right with your prediction that maybe London's result against Offaly was maybe a kind of a bit overblown, and I think Limerick showed London maybe for what they are, and that is probably maybe quite an average team, but nevertheless a good win for Limerick. 2-14 on the board, 10-point winners, job done into a home preliminary quarter-final.
Well, Tom, I outlined my reasons as to what my reservations about Offaly or about London were last week.
Yes.
You know, we remember the days when we were struggling down at the bottom of Division 4. And, you know, it was a question of trying to get at least one win that you wouldn't finish bottom. You know, they got one win over Watford and they got a draw with Tipperary, you know, and they got, you know, really tanked by Galway in the Connacht Championship. So I was completely at a loss looking at London's record as to where that came out of. But the performance against Offaly. But that's not to detract for 1 minute from the performance of Billy Lee's men. I've been saying here for anyone that would be prepared to listen, there was a change for the better in the Limerick team the day they travelled to Westmeath and almost pulled off a win. And as I said again, I think I said it last week, they finished the league with 2 away games to Offaly, to Wicklow and to Offaly, and lost both of them by a point. Had they flipped those 2 games and won, they'd be Division 3, and we'd be all living happily ever after. But you know, you would have said at the outset, sure, look, the draw in the Tailteann Cup isn't very fair to us. And especially after the first round, you'd been saying that it was very unfair to us altogether when we went up and got beaten by Down, and then we had the surprise result of London beating Offaly. But I think that this Limerick team under Jimmy Lee is progressing steadily. And like, he has got over the difficulty of replacing half his squad. And like, he's got a boost with the like of Danny Neville coming back, a big asset. Josh Ryan coming back and surprisingly filling the role of goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You know, and Josh has had a few clean sheets now. He has.
Well, just on screen
I'm
there,
sure,
anyone
I'm
watching,
sure
there's...
he'll tell me the number when I meet him. But I thought I saw green shoots, even though we were losing league matches. And I think it's got fruition. Like in the Munster Championship, we led Cork at half time.
Yeah.
And we see the results that Cork have pulled off since. Put it up to Kerry. Are already qualified safely through in the Sam Maguire Cup. And if they avoid defeat against Tyrone, they will be into the All-Ireland quarterfinals.
Yeah.
But Limerick last year were in a similar situation after the league. But they adapted very well to the Tailteann Cup. And it looks like a bit the same this year.
Yeah,
but
two wins from 3 again.
I think this year's change of fortunes is probably better grounded because it was building up slowly. You could see it coming. You know, as I said, had we flipped those 2 1-point defeats to Wicklow and Offaly, you know, we'd have stayed up.
Yeah.
But we face Tipperary now. Tipperary haven't had a good season. Tipperary in Division 4 only picked up 1 win and 2 draws. And then they played Waterford in the first round of the Munster Championship and got turned over, which was a surprise.
Yeah, one of the biggest shocks in a long time, yeah. In one way,
we
anyway.
Were having this conversation this day week, we would have said that Tipperary were probably out of the running because they had lost to both Antrim and Sligo.
Yeah.
And Wexford, who were in the same group, had also lost to both of them. So it came down to a straight shootout between Tipperary and Wexford to take the 3rd place, and they got it. you know, and we spoke last week briefly about the jeopardy in these competitions. And, you know, I suppose that is an argument for 3 teams going through. You had 2 teams with 2 wins, 2 teams with 2 defeats. And rather than having a complete dead rubber, you had a game where the winner would revive their championship hopes.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, the jeopardy actually, bizarrely, in the Tailteann Cup, because of New York's involvement, there's actually more jeopardy than in the Tailteann Cup, because the teams in third place, every score could be important to them. Now, it turned out London got through, but London, if they had taken more of a tanking from Limerick, which kind of seemed on the cards, but they matched Limerick in the second half. Limerick invariably won the second half by, I think, 2 points. But if that had gotten worse for them, they would be out. Now, London, after getting through, but, you know, if Limerick had ran up another 2 or 3 goals, for argument's sake, they would have got out. But one of the teams in third missed out. I think, is it Longford or someone, I think, missed out on scoring difference.
That's right. Well, no, Waterford,
sorry, yeah, they took a couple of hammerings and they got a win the other day, but their damage was done. But yeah, I suppose there ended up being a cup. I think there was a dead rubber in Limerick's group was down in Offaly, because Offaly were bottom and down were through. But it was a straight shootout between Limerick and London. And just to mention some bits from the game, Cahill Downs in the first half, I was at the game, Matt. Great day for football. Really dry, slight breeze, you know, humid conditions. Cahill Downs just kicked 4 points, and a lot of them were 2 or 3 of them, I think, were the carbon copies of each other, coming around, getting the pass off his teammate, finding just that 2 meters of space, good high kick up from 30-40 meters over the bar. We've kind of come to expect it from Cahill. You mentioned Danny Neville. He got a goal. He also played a huge role in the second goal, and they were very important scores at the time, 33 and 36 minutes in the first half. And it was kind of nip and tuck until then, and suddenly then it was 8 points at half-time. Limerick, I think, got the last 2-1 of the half, I think it was, or maybe even 2-2, and suddenly there was a chasm between the teams. So, like, when they needed to, they found the scores. Now, they were a little bit wasteful at times. I think they ended up with 11 wides in total, but there was a lot to like about this performance. Now, sterner test will await. Will Tipperary be any sterner than London? I'm not so sure, but if Limerick can get over that, I suppose we might get to see in the quarterfinal. You know, that'll be an away quarterfinal. We might get to see where they're really at. But I think it's a great opportunity against Tipperary, who are not, as you say, not having the best season. You know, great opportunity in McNeville Park Saturday afternoon. Great opportunity to get another win.
It is, and to look back and say, look, we got 3 wins in a row in the championship. Yeah. I know, if you win, you're going to be travelling to either Sligo, Fermanagh, Sligo, Fermanagh, or Kildare.
Mm-hmm.
We can travel to Down because we've already met them.
Yeah, no, and you would presume if Limerick whoever does get there, Limerick or Tip, that would be a step up to play Kildare, Sligo, or Fermanagh. They're kind of sides that, you know, Division 2, Division 3, you know, they're that sort of a go, you know, that's rather than a kind of lower league Division 4 team.
You know, if he pulls off 3 wins in a row, and I'm sure, and I'm pretty confident that they will, Jimmy Lee will want to benchmark his team at a higher level to see exactly what progress they have made.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. The last time Limerick won 3 football matches in a row, Matt, any ideas? 2020, so just before COVID. Yeah, they won 4 in a row. They won 4 league games in a row at the start of the 2020 National Division 4.
They did the National Football League.
They beat Waterford away, London, I think, at home, Carlow.
London and Noel.
Yeah, Carlow, and then Wicklow. Then they subsequently lost to Antrim. Then there was COVID. Came back and drew at Wexford in McNeville Park and got a win over Sligo to win Division 4. So 4 wins in a row. Well, 3 even, you know, was 3 first, obviously, but 3 wins in a row. See, it's a long time ago. That'll tell you how hard it is to do, you know, and how hard it has been. So it's a great opportunity, as we say, on home soil against our neighbours in Tipperary. So we'll be hoping for a decent support, and I think they're playing a nicer brand of football, Matt, as the year has gone on. The better weather certainly suits the players they have. Danny Neville's a pacey player, and a nice volleyed goal the other day. Then he driving run for the second goal. It was at Cahill Downs. Peter Nash, Brian Ahern comes on. Emmett Richter, not his greatest game of the year, but he's steady the whole way through. Barry Coleman getting in on the act as well, and Ian Corbett coming back to a bit of fitness. So green shoots, I think, all over the place, Matt, and we'd be very positive heading into this one.
Yeah, as I said, I flagged them, I think, way back for the Westmeath game, and they have been getting greener since, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Saturday afternoon for that one in McNeville Park. Just to mention as well, we had mentioned it last week, the Masters football side. There they are in all their glory. They on screen. They are in action in round 3 of the Masters Association Football Championship. They're playing Waterford in Ula. That is this coming Saturday at 2 p.m. So do hop along to that one if you're looking to see that.
Just on that, they have similar records. Limerick have a win and a defeat, and Waterford have a win over Wicklow in the first round, and a pretty heavy defeat to Cork in round 2. So the records coming in will be similar. They met last year in the very first round, and Limerick won it in Waterford.
Yeah.
So I would be expecting, I'd be very hopeful, let's say, that they'll pick up a second win.
Yeah, and of course the logistics a little bit easier than the London trip. I know they flew out the morning of the London game, and that can be taxing in itself. So just a trip out to Ula, and hopefully they'll be a little bit fresher now come Saturday afternoon against Ula. So best
They won't
wishes.
be going by air to Ula, Tom.
No, indeed not.
They'll be on terra firma.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully 2 wins from 3 for the lads in that one. Flipping now to ladies football, and what a start it was for the ladies footballers looking to get back towards that All-Ireland final that they were so agonisingly beaten in last summer. Matt, an away trip to Longford, with a bit of trepidation. We weren't sure where they'd fall in this, but after a tight first half, Limerick found the scores, they found another gear, and I suppose they left Longford in the rearview mirror and picked up the win.
They did, absolutely. And we were just wondering, and when I was reflecting on it, and they drew in the league, and Limerick were lucky to draw in the league. I think Kate Kennedy got a late point. It was inside Noel, I was at it, and they were lucky to draw in the finish, but unlucky to be in the position that they were in would be the best way I'd sum it up. But Longford had a very poor finish to the league, but you take little or no notice of that. But there was a time, Tom, up to 2 years ago, when Limerick went to the league final this year and were beaten by Carlow. 2 years ago, if you went to the league final, which we did, and got beaten by Offaly, we had no game again until the championship. So why am I saying that? There comes the new Munster Senior B Championship.
Yeah, to bridge the gap, brilliant.
Which Limerick won and gave the girls invaluable game time and experience. They got 3 good games out of it. First of all, they beat Kerry in the group stage. More or less second string Limerick team lost by a point to Cork in the second, because both teams had already beaten Kerry and were qualified. And then Limerick had a very, very good win in the final over Cork. And those 3 games, and they filled a void, and they were hugely important. Hugely important. You can train all your life, but every night of the week or whatever you want to, but it's very, very important to get into a game situation. And, I thought Limerick were in good fettle going to Longford.
Yeah.
I honestly thought so. But again, then you were asking yourself, you must remember that Longford were relegated last year from intermediate.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this happens, but last year we had to face the 2 relegated teams in the group, Sligo and Down. We beat Sligo, we lost to Down. This year, again, we have to face the 2 relegated teams, Longford, who we have disposed of, and our next game up is on Sunday week against Louth, whereby if we avoid defeat, we will be certainly through to the semi-final. Probably with Kilkenny to come in the final round, and that's no disrespect to Kilkenny. But it was a very, very good second half by Limerick. They were a couple of points down at half time and really stepped up through the gears in the second half. And Iris Kennedy got a goal after 40 minutes, which was crucial. And Iris ended up with 1-2 actually, which was a good return in a championship game like that. And a final score of 112 to 8 points, very, very convincing. And should it come down to scoring difference later in the competition, there are just 4 teams in the group: Limerick, Louth, Longford and Kilkenny. But it's unlikely that Kilkenny are going to get a win out of it, so they're probably going to lose the 3 games. As I said, I'm saying that with the utmost respect for what they're doing, and they're just trying to get off the ground. But where Limerick have beaten Longford, but were Louth to beat Limerick and Longford beat Louth, the 7 points might be very crucial.
Indeed, it might. Yeah, Louth put up a 5-9 to 1-1 victory over Kilkenny in John Locke Park in Callan as well. So I suppose Louth doing the business there in terms of getting their win and moving on to their meeting with
Tom, for 1 minute, I'm not saying that we're going to be beaten by Louth. Don't get me wrong.
No. You're just looking at the permutations, yeah. And as you say, the straightforward one for Limerick is to win the next day, and that's the job done really in terms of getting out of the group. Yeah, so that's Sunday week that is penciled in for. Away to Louth, and then they conclude the group on the 23rd at home to Kilkenny. But just to reiterate your point, Matt, there about playing more games, and I think was it in 2021? Could be wrong with the year now. I think it might have been then, or maybe 22. Limerick were the only county playing ladies football that didn't have a game between league and championship that was competitive. Every other county, I think Kilkenny were playing that year. So there were maybe 31 counties playing. 30 of them were either playing in the Leinster Senior, Munster Senior, Connacht Senior, Connacht Intermediate, etc., etc. Limerick were in no man's land because of their grade, i.e. junior. They were the only Munster junior team. There was no Munster Junior Championship. And I think Clare, who were in a similar position, managed to get into a Connacht Championship, if I'm not mistaken, Connacht Intermediate Championship. They were allowed in terms of playing some sort of game. So Limerick had this awful bridge to gap, and thankfully, in fairness to the Munster LGFA or whoever's come up with the concept, they have bridged that gap. And there's
absolutely, I hand out kudos to them. And as you know, I had my differences with Munster LGFA in the past, but
they got this one right.
Full marks for bringing in the competition.
Yeah.
And also, Tom, full marks for the way they ran the occasion.
You were at it,
yeah. I was at the final, and they created a sense of occasion in Mallow, which was absolutely wonderful. Right, everything in band, national anthem, the whole lot, public address, it was all there. Very, very, very well. The logistics really looked after to the T, and fair play. Good job in introducing the competition. Good job in the way they carried it out.
Certainly, yeah. We tip our hat when it's due around the place too. We will flip now towards Camogie, and it was unfortunately, unlike the ladies footballers.
Sorry, before we go,
sorry, yes,
there's a hugely important ladies football game this weekend.
Yes, there we go.
When Limerick will be playing Antrim in the under-14 All-Ireland Bronze Final.
Yes.
And it's on at 1:30 in Kinnegad on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now Limerick have played 5 games to get to the final. They've already played Antrim in the group stages, and they beat Antrim by 10 points to 2-3.
Right. 1-point game. Yeah.
Augurs very, very well for Saturday's final or Sunday's final. Saturday's final. Now they also in the group stages beat Wicklow, and they beat Fermanagh. But they really came into their own in the knockout phase, where they had a huge win over Wexford in the quarterfinal, and I suppose an equally impressive win over Westmeath in the semi-final. And God knows, when it comes to football, we always meet a couple of them. So they're in the final, and with a real good chance. John Doyle, who is a member of the Gaelic Masters team, from St.
Double jobbing again.
Double jobbing is the manager, but himself and his management team have done a great job. Chloe Carey of Ahan is the captain, and I think she's the daughter of Sean Carey.
Right.
So
good GA stock there, yeah.
Coming from very, very good GA stock. So we wish the girls the very best of luck. Congratulate them on getting to the final, and just hope that they get over the line. And from what I've read and from what I've inquired, I believe they have a right good chance, Tom.
Yeah, well, hopefully they enjoy the occasion one way or another, and hopefully we'll have positive news about it next week. So a reminder there, Saturday coming, the Under-14 All-Ireland bronze medal final, and as you can see on screen, they're part of the Festival of Football. Loads of games across the LGFA, and in fairness to them, they're really organising their competitions well across the underage grades. So sorry about that, nearly slipped my mind, Matt, but nevertheless, we're moving on towards the Camogie. And Matt, not a great weekend, it's fair to say, for Limerick Camogie. The juniors beaten, we'll come to that in a second, but the seniors, having tasted a heavy defeat at home to Kilkenny, they were on the road, and another heavy defeat against last year's All-Ireland finalists, Waterford, 5-15 to 9 points. Matt, what's next here for this group? It's two heavy defeats. It's hard to dress it up any other way than disappointment.
Disappointment, definitely. Desperate sorry for Joe Quaid and the girls. It just isn't happening yet. But I think the thing can be redeemed. I was just looking at sort of the results of the first two rounds there earlier today, and Kilkenny dished out a heavy defeat to us. Now they dished out an equally, if a bigger defeat to Antrim actually last Saturday.
Right.
So, like it looks to me as if there is possibly two groups within our group, possibly. That you'd have probably Derry, Limerick, and Down on one level, and then you'd have Kilkenny, Waterford, and Tipperary at a different level. That's what it would appear to me. And now we've played two of them. Now Derry were promoted as intermediate champions last year. They had a very, very good win in the first round when they went to Cushendall and beat Antrim.
Yeah.
But they suffered a desperate defeat in round two to Tipperary, who were the newly crowned league champions, of course. I'm forever an optimist, Tom. Joe Quaid said it after the first game that Limerick were a lot better than they showed against Kilkenny. I agree with him totally. And I think they were probably a lot better than they showed against Waterford. So, you'd be hoping and thinking that possibly a game away to a team that was playing intermediate last year, even though it is a long trip to Derry, might be an opportunity to turn the corner.
Yeah.
And I will reserve my judgment on it until such time as I see how they fare against Derry on Saturday.
Yeah, you mentioned the two-tier group, Matt. I think maybe for the last 10 years or so, there has been a kind of tiered nature to the Camogie Championship. We had a run there of Kilkenny, Galway, and Cork were the three.
Yeah.
You had Tipperary, Waterford, and Limerick were probably beneath them, and then you kind of had maybe the likes of Dublin, Antrim, Down, Offaly, in and out. Meath, I think they're even there for a while.
And Westmeath were there for a while.
Yeah, Westmeath as well. Yeah, sorry, Westmeath came up during COVID, didn't they? It's kind of still there, I think, isn't it? And it's just maybe where the Limerick.
There, and tis very pronounced in our group, but unfortunately we've dropped down into the second. Whilst Waterford are making strides, the sky nearly fall down since Wexford won the All-Ireland in the early 10 or 12 years ago. If anybody other than Galway, Cork, or Kilkenny won the All-Ireland. But now it's more open season in the Camogie Championship because Tipperary are right up there to discuss to disturb that cosy cartel, and Waterford are making inroads to it now. Reached the All-Ireland final for the first time in 58 years last year. Now it wasn't a day to remember for Waterford, but they got there, and it was a sign of them making progress. And I suppose we know that they're making progress from what we saw last Saturday.
Yeah, no, definitely are. Yeah, they'll be one of the favourites for sure. I'm sure to go deep into this championship. They'll be trying to get out of this group nice and early, nice and clean, and into the knockouts. So Limerick on the road this weekend, trying to bounce back. Matt, I mentioned at the start there as well, the juniors, they got a great win over Mayo, I suppose a week and a half ago now, but they were on home soil again, this time in Cappamore, and it was Roscommon, their arch nemesis, as it were, who the spoils. So disappointing for Dave Deedy. They couldn't back up the first day victory with another one.
Was very, very disappointing, and they were again without Ella Hessian, who
You were
scored goals.
at this game, weren't you? You were mine. Yeah,
I was, who scored goals for fun during the league.
Yeah.
She's injured, but she was saying to me there after the game that she'd be hoping to be back for the Laois game. But they were down 5 points at half time, and it looked manageable. It looked manageable. That was until Roscommon got a goal within 30 seconds of the restart, and Roscommon turned over to play against the Breeze. Now, it sparked something in Limerick, because by the 40th minute, they had reduced the margin to a single point. They hit over 4 points, and Valerie Shanahan, no matter how long her career will go on, or how far back it has gone, she will not score a better goal. Scored an absolutely fantastic goal. And that brought it down to a point, 20 minutes to go, momentum with Limerick. You said, hey, presto, we're in business.
Right.
But it sort of, there was a couple of breaks in the game, took the momentum out of it. Roscommon came back and tacked on the points and held out at the end. When we looked at the programme, I couldn't believe it when I saw it first. There was no Miss Fallon. Who is Miss Fallon? Miss Fallon is Shauna Fallon, who scored 12 points. Game, was it? Yeah. Scored 12 points out of 13 when Limerick when Roscommon beat Limerick in last year's All-Ireland quarter-final. But lo and behold, Miss Fallon was replaced by Miss Kelly, Hazel Kelly, just out of minor ranks, who scored 11 points.
She passed that torch fairly well, didn't she?
On Saturday. So the torch was moved very, very nicely. They'd make a good relay team now, them,
Yeah.
The baton wouldn't be dropped, But I think overall Limerick were a bit unlucky.
Right.
That they didn't, when they brought it back to a point, you could only see it going one way. Like Roscommon, they slowed the game down. There was a couple of breaks, and suddenly the momentum was gone out of it, and Limerick couldn't sort of recapture it, which was very, very disappointing. Now they still are in with a good chance of qualifying. They play Laois next it's going to be on Saturday week, isn't it? Yeah. It's going to be in McNeville Park or in Cappamore. It was in Cappamore on last Saturday, and again, full credit to everybody over there in Cappamore for the manner in which they had that pitch.
Always a pleasure, of course.
And full credit also to them for their very kind hospitality, which they never fail in.
Doesn't go unnoticed, Matt. Does not go unnoticed. It doesn't go unnoticed.
And it should be acknowledged. And it's either in McNeville Park or it's going to be in Cappamore. And Laois would be the forum team in it. They would be the favourites. But if Limerick can get Ella Hessian back, somebody that can put the ball in the net or put it over the bar, like the scores she ran up during the league were simply phenomenal.
Yeah.
And like if you take that level of potency out of your attack, it has to weaken it. So let's hope she'll be back. And I think we'll probably have a good chance against Laois. I'm forever an optimist, Tom, but I think I'm certainly not writing off the junior team.
Yeah, they've Laois, as you say, in round 3. I think they must have a bye in round 4, and then they're back in round 5 on the road against Cavan. Yeah, so just to bring up the fixtures on screen, the Camogie fixtures, their seniors are away to Derry in Owenbeg. Long trip for them. There's 2 p.m. this Saturday. I believe they're going on Friday evening, so they'll be hopefully in fine fettle to pick up their first win of the season. And the juniors, as we say, looking to bounce back. That's on Saturday week, venue TBC, but on home soil against Laois in round 3. So I think we're more or less out of covered everything. Just to mention as well, in the Camogie Championship, a Limerick man has made his impact on the senior championship. That's Donnacha O'Callaghan, a friend of the show, as it were here, Matt. Good, dedicated referee, has quickly rose through the ranks on the Camogie side of things. He officiated the draw between Wexford and Galway in the senior championship last weekend, and I believe he's penciled in to officiate Tipperary versus Antrim in the Rag this Saturday. So nice to see a Limerick official making strides on the national camogie front.
Absolutely, I concur totally with it. One of life's nice guys, Donica, but also a top class referee, as we have seen here in Limerick. And he also, of course, got recognised by the Munster Council this year in that he refereed the Munster minor football final.
Yes, the male version, shall we say, and he did a lot of the underage games in the lead up to that as well, and has been very, very busy indeed. And as we know, has reffed many a county final at different grades throughout Limerick, from juvenile all the way up to senior adults. So
before we finish, Tom, this is a landmark year for two of our divisions. Our own division here in the south is 100 years old,
right?
This year, and it will be celebrated later in the year with a function in October.
I'll have to start lining out for it, Matt. I'll have to start lining out in the south.
Yeah, but also this year, it's the 80th anniversary of the establishment of the East Board.
Right.
And congratulations to the lads over in the East. Now, they have introduced a new tournament in East Limerick this year. Similar, it's to mark the 80th anniversary, but it's going to be a permanent part of their calendar. It's going to be a Junior A football competition, anniversary competition, with 8 clubs play 4 quarterfinals. The 4 winners go into the anniversary tournament semi-finals. The 4 losers go into a shield final. Now, it is due to be started this week and be a run-off over a short period of time, something like a week or 10 days like that. I will be checking with the board later this evening just to see that what exactly is the status of it. As to they have a list of fixtures which are mainly down for this week, but we wish them the very, very best of luck. Congratulate them first of all on 80 years, and wish them the very best of luck with the new competition. It's sort of almost identically using the Brian Butler Cup format, and the Brian Butler Cup has been established for a good number of years, and it's for junior teams.
Junior A hurling, is it?
Yeah, Junior A hurling. There are actually 10 teams in the Brian Butler Cup this year. There's going to be 2 preliminary rounds, 4 quarterfinals, 2 semi-finals, and a final. There is no shield competition in it, but it is run off like clockwork every year. The Brian Butler Cup.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. No, definitely. As someone who's not affiliated with the East, I see it. They promote it on social media. They get it out there. You see who's won it. It's easy to follow, and it's a relevant competition. So I'm sure the football competition they're launching will follow very much in similar lines. So best wishes to them, and congratulations on 80 years. And likewise, congratulations on the 100 in the south. But they're not going to celebrate until I suppose the tail end of 2024, but nevertheless a tremendous achievement. Matt, I think we've covered it off. We're hoping for plenty of Limerick wins over the weekend. We'll hopefully be talking about 6 in a row this time next weekend, and maybe the Camogie side will be off the mark, and maybe we'll have some silverware for the under-14 ladies football as well.
We'll probably have the senior hurling and senior football league finals to look forward to, the semi-finals of which are on over the weekend. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, we'll bring those fixtures for you. Thanks very much for tuning in. Don't forget now, we're now back on Spotify. So if you can't tune in video, the Spotify link will be available across social media channels, and you can listen to us there. Thanks very much.